say I'm a fool, but they never got the news that I'm a vile one. Oh yeah, I'm a vile one. You better turn it up, better keep the channel down, cause you're watching VileMike and his real wild child. Oh yeah, I'm a vile one. You better turn it up, better keep the channel down, cause you're watching VileMike and his real wild child.
Okay, I had to play the last one only because I wanted to make sure, or to continue the joke from my headline. I started yesterday in Mexico, so just letting everyone know. And good morning, Dandelion Fluff. Hopefully you're having a better weekend than some people today.
Well, she's Canadian. I'm not sure how it's gotten up there.
So,
But
yes,
sure
we will be talking about what happened yesterday. I'm not going to be cracking too many jokes about it because, all right, because one, if anyone knows my position on gun violence, you know that I don't actually find most of that funny. So I want to make that clear up front.
And I want to make a full disclaimer stating that any kind of gun violence and political association is fucked up and wrong unless you're responsible for killing millions of people because they disagree with your religion. Okay?
Yeah, and Dandelion, I don't care what other people do. It's not something that I'm going to do heavily. And B, just because of certain things, say something in the private chat so we know that's you.
And not Bob. People know that. Not Bob. Say something else besides Bob. What did you tell? What did you say in that little community chat about the bullet? Put that in the private chat so I know it's you.
Or just something that would make it so we know it's you.
Yeah. Oh, it's him. It's him.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, now look, I'm speculating on that. I'm only going off the fact that I heard the distance, I heard the sound, but I can only go off the audio. So I'm thinking, and now that I know it was a rifle, but that doesn't mean anything. You can do a 22, you can do a 38. It did not sound like a 9mm. A 9mm would have done more damage when it nicked his ear. So
I didn't know I wanted to go immediately into this.
Dandelion, sorry, Dandelion, you got to just do something more than it's really me in the private chat.
Yeah, sorry. I did not want to actually go into this conversation. I wanted to make sure it was actually you instead of a hi Bob because, like, specifically, is that you?
Okay, that makes more sense.
No, anyway. Hi,
and
Bob.
same to you, Revan, just in case. Put something in the private chat so we know it's you.
Good morning. I mean, I did say I'd be here in a minute as soon as my kettle boiled. So
yeah,
I know, but we've had someone impersonate you. We've had someone impersonate.
Someone's impersonated me?
Yeah, you, Caddy. Who else was impersonated? Yvette?
I've been impersonated? That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, the Yvette one. That was fucking crazy.
I had no idea. I'm going to have to go watch that stream. You leave all the streams up, right? Which one is it?
This is weird. Irish
Most of them I leave up. I have had to take a hold on. I've had to take a couple down only because of these little clips I play at the end. Some of them get triggered by the algorithm and they get blocked.
Right. Okay.
Hey,
because they're short clips.
Guys, you got a
weird I'll take the risk.
Yeah, it's a weird Irish person stage, guys. Come on.
Just making sure.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, people have pulled the trick on me. Oddly enough, back when it was on Anti-Tracker stream a few years ago, someone like came on as a blank avatar with my name on it while it was on the panel. It was weird.
Yeah.
I know you're spelling good.
Yeah.
But NB and I kind of talked about this yesterday via Twitter. And one of the things I'm really concerned about, because of reading comments both on the CNN update page for it, the FBI, well, FBI didn't have any comments, but Yahoo and TikTok and YouTube, some of the comments have kind of made me really worried because one of them was, immediately was saying that it must have been one of those illegal Mexicans, and that's why we need to round them up. And
Great.
yeah, and another one was a comment on the Yahoo page where they released the name of the shooter.
Yeah, Tom.
They said, one of the comments was, and the fact that the comment had over 300 upvotes is also something that didn't make me too happy. Was saying, sounds like a trans name. We definitely need to, gotta put those people down.
I think he was a Republican, wasn't he? He was like a registered Republican.
No, he wasn't.
No. Hold on. We have no information about the person so far. They haven't released anything, at least as of 15 minutes ago when I last checked.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not buying on TikTok somebody telling me they pulled his voter card already.
Hey guys, there is an update on the guys. There is an actual update, a little bit of information that was released about the shooter. He is a Republican. Didn't know if he's registered or not, but he's a self-proclaimed Republican from Pennsylvania. That's all the news has released about this guy.
Yep.
Anyway, who cares if he's a Republican?
Hold on. Elihu, as much as I respect the fourth pillar doctrine, okay? And again, that's something I brought up to NB as well about the fourth pillar. Do you know what the fourth pillar is, Daniel Ann?
No.
Is that not the media?
Yes.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the media. We got the three branches of government, and then the fourth pillar is supposed to be the media. So because of the way the news cycle runs, I'm not going to believe anything the news necessarily says about the shooter until it's been confirmed by law enforcement investigation.
This was confirmed by Secret Service.
And I want to say
confirmed by Secret Service, guys.
Hey guys,
hold on. Let's not speak over each other, please.
Hey guys, and I'm with VileMike on this. That's why I'm not doing this, because I'm seeing a lot of things. I'm seeing what Mike is seeing. I'm also seeing people saying, "Too bad the guy missed. Next time, aim better."
Yeah, I don't think it's a like.
I mean, the vitriol in this.
Yeah.
I mean, the vitriol going on is bad.
It's bad all around.
As somebody who has had, been in a public scenario where a gun has been shot and seen people shot in front of me, I don't care if this was, Donald Trump. He does not deserve to have a gun shot at him.
No, and the audience member who died certainly.
Neither candidate does.
No, nobody does. Nobody does. This is not right. This is no. But
Darren, can you throw something in the private chat so we can confirm it's you before we bring you up?
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, how do you greet me, Darren?
So here's the thing.
Oh, okay. I guess it is.
How did this person get that close to a former president?
So there's a guy who came out, and I don't know, is it actually there, but he said that, and a couple of people have stated this, that somehow he was a good bit away, like the building he was a good bit away, but he also army crawled, or belly crawled at least, along the building. And
no, it doesn't matter. You don't leave a line of sight open.
I know, that's what I was wondering. Like,
especially after what happened to JFK, as far as I know, all rooftop and window access is usually monitored, especially when you're out in a field and there's not that much to have to worry about.
Yeah, perhaps some complacency or something. I don't know.
Well,
so
here's the thing. The last time we knew about a rifle assassination, was JFK. The last time I remember, and then Robert was, I believe Robert was shot close range with a pistol, Robert Kennedy Sr.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sir Hunt.
Yeah. And the guy who tried to shoot Reagan was also close range with a pistol. So how the fuck did somebody get a rifle that close?
Yeah. I don't go with conspiracy theories, so
No.
waiting to
I'm just
No, I
reporting
was
what the guy
super-
said on the news. The guy in
I
the
know.
weird truck.
That's why I think the most important thing to do is wait until we get the investigation report from law enforcement. In this case, from what I understand, the FBI has lead, and I think we should wait until we know more information. The speculation is going to kill people, I think.
Yeah.
The one thing I know for certain, and I'm just doing logically, I'm doing this from a military perspective and an analyst perspective.
Yeah.
The first shot got him. We all saw that. It nicked his ear. There were 3 more shots, and that was when the Secret Service came, and then that's when everybody started to realize what was going
And then
on.
didn't the Secret Service fire too? Because as far as I know, there was a count of 6.
Yeah, there were several counts, but it was the first 3 shots were the actual guy, because I've seen different videos and different angles, and the snipers who are up on the roof, this guy got off, I think he got off at least 3 to 5 rounds before they got him.
Yep.
I was told
From every interview I saw, it was between 3 and 7 shots. That's what they said they heard. But if it was a 22, again, because that's what the shooter used at my school shooting was a 22. I can understand how that could be in those situations. The echo can make it sound like there's more shots being fired. And when they said that it sounded like fireworks, that is exactly what it sounded like when it happened to me.
Well, that's the thing, because they call, when you have a 22, that's why I said a 22 or a 38, because they are called plinkers for a reason. They do sound like firecrackers.
So
there's low recoil. That's why I said it wasn't a 9mm. A 9mm would have nicked him, would have took most of his ear off.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of guys from my panel who are all like gun users and enthusiasts, they've been trying to like place what caliber the gun is. Farv from my channel, he thinks it was suppressed.
From what I heard, it does not sound suppressed at all.
No.
And again, a low velocity 22, that's exactly what it sounds like to me. Both as someone who owns a 22, actually several 22s. Darren, you don't have to comment about that. But it definitely sounded like a 22 to me. I don't have a 38, so I can't compare to that. So
I'm just speculating on that, but it did sound like 20. And I mean, you can buy an AR-15 and people don't realize this. You can buy an AR-15. I have several AR-15s that are 22 long rifle. So it is not impossible to get them, because one of the reasons why you buy those is they're very cheap.
Yeah.
They're also really, I mean, I remember having a 22 with my grandfather actually had it. It was a 22 with a very nice scope on there, and from like 200 feet away, you could bullseye a one-eyed jack on a that we stabled to a 2x4.
Like everyone was saying that it's because he turned his head that saved his life.
No, it's partly because the guy would know. It's more than that. It's not just that he turned his head. It's the guy was not an expert shooter. He didn't know what the fuck.
We don't know that, NB. We don't know
how to use his front background. He didn't know how to use rear sight aperture. Even if he had a scope, he didn't know how to adjust for wind, distance, and velocity.
We don't know his background, NB. We can't start speculating. All we know is the guy was 20 yards away.
I'm gonna say this: if you're a 20-year-old, I'm going to assume you are not trained as a scout sniper.
That
True.
does seem like a reasonable conclusion.
And I believe they said the distance was what, either 500 feet or 500 meters. I couldn't remember what it said on the articles.
It was
About
100
180
meters.
to 200 yards.
So about
So about 500 feet.
Yeah.
I heard
So-
100 meters, but I was
Hold-
watching Sky News that day.
There is a picture up of his body with the gun, but I can cut the body out and show you the gun if that helps.
It doesn't show the barrel. I've seen that picture. It doesn't show the barrel.
No, we don't need to show that.
Anyway, showing it won't do anything because it's just showing the weapon won't do anything. You got to know the caliber.
Yeah.
So you'd have to actually see the actual barrel size, and
Yeah, the barrel's cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if the barrel's cut off, then you can't tell what caliber went in there. You got to
Yes.
know. See, this is the thing I always tell people. It's like, which is scarier? And it's like, oh, well, that's scarier. It's like that's an AR-15 that is only carrying a 22 long rifle that is this big. And I show them. I said that there is a bolt action that shoots a 50 cal. And I said, here's what it shoots. So which one's scarier now?
So now my only question is, how did the person die at the rally?
Sniper got him.
Not the shooter, the other guy.
Oh,
Shot in the head.
oh,
A shot hit him in the head, apparently.
Yeah,
Well,
there was.
sorry.
Somewhere terminal, anyway.
from what I understand, okay, hold on. This is what I meant about the speculation. One of the first things one of the the quote unquote witnesses said was it was a non-secret service security agent that during returned fire shot one of the spectators.
Oh,
Yeah,
that I
so-
know.
so it might have been. So it was friendly fire.
That's
Yeah,
what
sadly.
that's what I was trying to tell you, NB, on Twitter. Is that's what one of the witnesses said. I cannot confirm that's true, and I hope it is not true.
Yeah.
Because
So-
just imagine being a security person and you end up shooting a civilian, an innocent person.
From what I saw,
That would be devastating.
I watched as the civilian body was carried out, and it was over on the left-hand side.
We're gonna have to. The whole thing is. The thing is, this is my thing as a conservative, the way I am, and I think a lot of us are. I don't want to knee jerk. I don't do conspiracy theories. I want to wait, and I want to hear the investigation.
That's what I was trying to impress upon you on Twitter, NB. And I hope I made it that clear after the end.
Mike, are you sure you were talking to me?
Well, yeah. And I was trying to say, from the stuff that I was reading, it was just, some of the stuff was just horrible. I mean,
No, I get it, and some of the stuff I've seen was
Also-
horrible. In the other aspect, I mean, both sides are being disgusting on this. We should be focusing on the fact we just had a former president almost be assassinated.
And a lot of people who I know have lost their shit over the way Tim Russ is acting.
Who's
yeah, I saw a little bit of that on Twitter as well.
This is a perfect time.
Voyager, Star Trek Voyager.
This is a perfect time to ignore celebrities.
Right.
Yeah, in all honesty, yeah.
Because they're not really all that good for much except on the screen. And once again, it falls upon me to be the voice of reason and rationality in a situation like this on this stream.
Hold on, I think I'm the one who's doing that.
That is kind of a joke. But anyway.
Okay.
In terms of like, in the lingo that I'm used to, I'm using passive sonar right now. I'm simply patiently waiting for information to come out. And I'm not gonna watch TikToks for this information. I'm not gonna listen to or I'm not gonna read any tweets from Stephen King or even Alex Jones at this point.
Alex Jones is
a fucking joke
because we don't have an official narrative yet, and
No.
Honestly, I've heard some of the same things that you have had, because obviously can't help but overhear some of it. And this is one of those things where patience is going to serve you, I think, a lot better than
Can I just say
trying to plug
one
in
thing
things.
that kind of might be a weirdly thing about his voter record? Not conspiracy theory. I'm just saying from a few people that I know. Some people, depending on how country they are, a lot of people I know, as soon as they turn 18, they sign up to whoever their parents are voting for, not even if it's their belief. Like, I know someone who's a registered Democrat, but is a full-on Republican.
Anybody
What?
can register as anything
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
country.
Yeah,
Do any of
exactly.
you?
Wait.
Hold on. All right.
Darren, go ahead.
Do you remember Operation Chaos in 2008?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Operation Chaos was something that Rush Limbaugh started kind of as a joke, but people did it. Because McCain secured the nomination for the Republican Party very early in the election year, but Hillary and Barack were still duking it out well into late summer. And the idea was that to keep it going as long as they could, so that the candidates would get bruised and battered by the time it came for them to actually get the
Attacking each other instead of attacking their actual
yeah.
opponent.
Right. So what he encouraged people to do in states where you could vote in the other the Democrats' primary without having to register as a Democrat, to go ahead and do so. And there were other states that enable you to change your registration on a whim. So what he registered as doesn't necessarily mean anything at this point. Again, I'm waiting for more information. I've heard reports that he also had a YouTube channel shirt on there's a YouTube channel called Demolition Ranch that I actually do watch once in a while. And he was wearing one of those shirts. Again, anybody can buy a t-shirt, so, again, nothing
And then there's,
that I,
Yeah, you
There's
got to
also-
understand our primary.
and
Hold on a second. Let me.
Hold on. I just wanted to say, I also refuse to acknowledge that it's the possibility of it being a false flag thing. Like, it was done by Trump, because I don't think that is warranted at all based on what I've seen.
I don't have an opinion yet.
And-
I don't have an.
No.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't have an opinion yet, but I am leaning more towards just general incompetence than conspiracy at this point. But
Yep.
Exactly.
I'm not.
Complacency, I think.
There's a failure in security, big time.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dandelion, what Darren was saying is, down here, just because some states require you to register as a certain party, because we have in some states we have caucuses.
Yeah, no, I understand all that. That's fine.
Yeah,
no,
we
I
have
was talking just
caucuses,
about
we
the
have
lack of
primaries.
security. That was all I meant, was the security issue was probably complacency on,
No. What I meant was
That's a weird
when he's
concept.
talking about the voting thing. It's like, I could be a registered, if I'm in the state of Indiana right now, I'm a registered Republican because I have to, because we have closed primaries. But that doesn't mean that I can't vote for a Democrat in November if I wanted to. It just means I'm registered.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a weird concept.
It's
For
kind
me-
of like how I'm a registered independent, but I can vote in either primary in California for any party, even though I tend not to vote in primaries.
You have
Yes,
to
right.
register at all. Like, that's crazy. Oh, I guess you do that here too. You have to be a member of the party to vote for who's the leader of the party.
No,
Over here?
it depends on the state. Like Mike said, he's a registered independent. Some states, if you're a registered independent, you can't vote in the primaries. You can only vote in the general election.
Mm.
And then we have some states that have caucuses, and some states that have open primaries. It's fucking complicated.
It's literally as a per state basis.
It is. So, like Mike, you can go in and vote as an independent. You can go into a Republican or a Democrat place, right?
Yep, I can. Well, I don't know why my camera turned on.
Yeah,
I
but
can vote in any party's primary because they want to court independence in California.
So you have what is called an open primary, and where I live, it's a closed primary. So when we have our primary, I can only vote for the Republican, or I can only vote for the Democrat, depending on who I'm affiliated with. And I don't know if we have an independent part. I should look into that. I'd like to go independent if I could, since I'm not a Republican. See, the only reason I register as a Republican is because I'm a conservative.
So
I think both your parties are pretty conservative from my point of view.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I'm an independent.
Well, I would go
But
independent.
it's almost funny because of what because of what Revan said, how you tend to start out as the party your parents were, and he's absolutely correct. My mother was a very staunch Republican, so when I first turned 18, I was a registered Republican. I didn't actually switch over till almost my mid-20s to independent.
You know, hold on a second, Revan. I was going to say this. I was thinking about this with the election and everything going on, and I was like, boomers and the silent generation, they're going to vote party no matter what. But generally, except for one demographic, we generally, the Gen X, the Zillennials, the Millennials, and hopefully the Gen Z, we're not the kind of people that vote party lines. We don't just vote for one party. We vote for what we think.
There's a lot more people who just.
So I'll explain it just like for over in my country what's going on. Families are still voting for who their families voted for today. Like my entire family votes Sinn Féin. I cannot stand them. And the fact that it's like, I was talking to my aunt, I'm like, how long have they voted Sinn Féin? Since the time of my great-grandfather, basically since the founding of the country. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not voting them. And they were like, but why? It's who your family have always voted for. I'm like, I don't believe in anything they say.
In my old age, I've gone. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said in my old age, I'm becoming more libertarian than conservative, but I don't know. So I kind of don't fit in a box yet at this point.
I used to be more left-leaning, and as I've gotten older, I'm heading over to the right.
I'm not exactly sure if I'm as conservative as I claim to be. I think maybe as I'm getting older, maybe I'm like Darren. I've gotten a little more liberal. I mean, I smoke weed. I drink beer. I believe in. Listen, I'm going to say this is going to sound fucked up. I could care less if prostitution was legal. I'd rather it be that way so it'd be safe, regulated.
I completely agree there. And that's
that
falls under my more libertarian views.
Could it be that you're not conservative, you're a traditionalist?
I just believe that there are certain things that, okay, are there things I agree with on I know how to separate my religion, my ideology as a conservative, and my realistic views. While my personal view on, let's say, abortion, okay, whatever that is, I know I'm in the minority, and I know realism, and I know there is a point where you have to say, look, we're 330 million people in this fucking country. I can't have everything my way. This isn't Burger King. I'm not stupid.
It's sort of like you have your beliefs, but you also understand that you can't impose your beliefs on other people.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Christians in particular are instructed in Scripture not to impose our rules on non-believers. And so when I look at, for example, I have the rules, like, for example, I'm not supposed to get high or drunk or be a man skank or any of that kind of stuff. Haven't always succeeded at those things, but if those things became perfectly legal, that really wouldn't affect me. I'm still not supposed to do that stuff. So we got to worry about ourselves in that regard. It doesn't really.
Like an example would be like NB likes to partake in weed. We know that Elihu does. It is completely legal here in California. I don't smoke weed.
I do.
It's a personal choice. I don't like how I feel under it, so I don't smoke it, or I don't take any gummies or anything like that.
So I want CBD and all marijuana-based type products are incredibly banned here, and I want them legalized because I'm in a lot of pain, my mother's in a lot of pain, and my grandmother before she passed had arthritis. My father's got cancer, like, and I'm looking and I'm like, this could help a lot of people with their pain. And there was what they call the head shop, right? Opened up called CBD Ireland. It was raided by the police. The people who worked there were arrested, and the place was shut down.
So, for example, Revan, you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
So the Christmas before my mother-in-law died, she came up here and the family was visiting, and I could see she was limping. And I said, "How bad is your pain right now?" I said, "Where is it?" And it was in her foot. And what I didn't know was she had rheumatoid arthritis. And I said, "How bad is your pain right now?" I said, "Tell me the truth." She goes, "A 9. And I said, "I think I have something." So I went to the head shop and I grabbed my topical cream and I rubbed it on her foot. Within 2 minutes, her pain went from a 9 to a 1.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Jesus, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah. And you know what I did? I gave it to her and I said, "Take it home and put it on you."
So let me tell you this.
I'm also confused about the CBD part because that doesn't contain any THC, and
It's still banned. It's all marijuana products are banned.
It's a hemp derivative. That's why.
Yeah.
yeah, it that doesn't see. That's why some of the bad science stuff irks me because just because it's
not bad science. It's not bad science. It's not actual science. It's
politics.
political.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah, but I'm saying it doesn't have any THC in it. I mean, I would argue the efficacy rates of CBD stuff, but it doesn't have any THC. So what's the point?
Mike,
The
hemp plant is illegal. That's the whole point.
I know. Elihu will know this. Why don't you go look at why why marijuana was banned in this country?
Ralph Waldo Emerson, the paper industry. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
and
Ireland has a lot.
Blame the cotton magnates.
Ireland has a lot of forests, and we as like Elias said, we make a lot of paper and like that, books, newspapers when they used to exist. But here's the thing: if one of my cousins who I meet up with, and 2 of my friends smoke like marijuana or pot, whatever, for PTSD issues, right? When they do it, like outside by the river, a beautiful night at the hotel, I cannot be near them because if I go near them and I walk through the Irish airport, I'm getting my ass arrested.
And the sad part is, I live in what's called a weed desert. I mean, I live in the only state where it's not legal. It's 2.5 hours for me to get to where I need to go. And I've been dry for months. I've been hitting the deltas. And the only reason I want the damn thing is the same reason that Revan and them do is one, I'd like to be able to eat again. I'm 44 years old. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'd like to be able to eat. I'd like to be able to sleep good again. I mean, Jesus Christ, my family's life expectancy is the early 70s. So, this wasn't what I expected when I got in my 40s.
So I don't ever tell people this, but I've got a form of cerebral palsy that affects different parts of my bones, and it's really affecting my feet, especially my ankles. And so, like, it constantly feels like my ankles are out of place. And even right now, just put my feet down on the ground, it hurts. Like, my left eye just moved it, and my toes curled with the pain.
I know exactly what you mean, Reverend. That's exactly, yeah. Your pain may be a 3, but mine's a 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're going through, dude.
Like, mine is mild at the moment, like, but it has been up there, Elihu. I'm just saying, like, you know yourself, it goes up and down.
Yeah, sometimes I can be a 3, sometimes I can be a 15. Instantly. It's
Yeah.
like snapping a finger, like, ouch, ouch, ouch. I can be standing there perfectly, all of a sudden, sharp pain.
Uh-huh.
I gotta sit down. I gotta elevate my feet. Yeah, my
Like this morning,
ankles are inverted, so yeah, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, like this morning, my phone went off. I had the alarm on and I got up to get it and I face planted on the ground and my feet wouldn't work for like a good 10 minutes after I woke up. Feels fucking stupid. But if I could take like the CBD or anything like that, that'd be great. But even in America, I can't take it because so when I was going to Chicago, my crutch went down onto like a trash area outside of the fucking airport. And I must have stepped on something or walked through something. But when I was going through the Irish airport, I got pulled over by airport security and they went through my suitcase. They're
What about your crotch now? What about your crotch?
That's all you got from that was his crotch.
Well, I heard crotch, and then I'm listening for something, and I'm like, well, he's not talking about a crotch.
Crutch. He was talking about his crutches.
Crutches. Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm like, this is getting kind of personal, Potato. What the hell?
You have to understand, Darren, that we're a multicultural live stream, and we have people from different areas, and they talk different.
And we all have different accents.
Yeah, Irish Customs and Excise, they were there and they're like, did you take an animal? I'm like, no. They scanned me, they wiped underneath my nose, they wiped part of my beard, they wiped my hands, and all that came negative. What came positive was my crutch. The whole bottom of my crutch scanned as positive. And I'm just looking and they're like, did you? I'm like, did I drop my crutch in Chicago when I was sitting down on the ground like so many times? Like, could have hit anything. And they're like, okay, wash your crutch off and then go. So I had to go waddle my ass over and wipe it off for them and then go through. We don't play around.
Reverend, here they have these full body scanners, and every time I go through there, I always let the TSA agent know, hey, I smoked a joint before I came through, so they'll know not to pat me down if they detect THC on me.
Oh, yeah. They're
like, okay.
The TSA opened.
Good, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
See, that's
TSA
the thing
opened my foot strap.
You see, honestly, I can't. Most of the states, and I've been in 35 of them. I think Elihu's probably been to more than me, but
I've been to 43 states.
Yeah, so I figured you had me topped. But there was a time I remember back in the 80s and even the early 90s, it was like, I remember the 80s and everybody was like, oh, marijuana is the gateway drug. It's the gateway drug. And I'm like, the problem is, while I'm watching these commercials, I'm watching my mom and dad smoke weed. And, my mom did some stupid other harder drugs. And when I grew up, I smoked weed. And I knew some guys who did harder drugs. Listen, I'm going to tell you from personal experience. It wasn't a gateway drug. If you were going to use a harder drug, you were going to do it no matter what.
No, I would have used on my grandmother to get her to eat. I would have made her have the munchies.
And B, do you remember that PSA, who taught you how to do this? You did. I learned it from watching you. Parents who do drugs have children who use drugs. It was like...
Dude, we had that over here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, Darren, I haven't thought it. Oh, my God.
I'm just trying to watch the Transformers, and this thing came out on every friggin' commercial break.
Who taught you how to do this? You did. Oh, my God, Darren. Holy shit.
Like, dude, I'm going to give you a laugh. I was talking to my friend, and I said, hey, when my ankle was bad, and I said, oh, shit, yeah, like, there's a couple of steps in the hotel we just booked, so I'll need to be careful. And she's like, don't worry, if you fall over, we'll call the Lifeline woman.
Okay.
And the old ad from the 80s where the elderly person... Yeah.
From the 80s, which one was it? Oh, Life Alert you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it.
That was the 90s. That was the mid to late.
That's it.
That was the mid to late 80s, because that commercial came out. It came and went while I was in the Navy, and I never saw it. And people were referencing it all the time, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So when YouTube debuted, I actually did find the commercial, and I'm like, okay, I see why people didn't like this.
Well, we.
Well, it's not that people didn't like it; people thought it was funny.
Right. Well, if they overplay anything, people eventually don't like it. I mean, it's.
Well,
I didn't like
thing
the
was,
California raisins in the '80s only because they overplayed it. You know.
Well, it was the same.
Oh,
the beef.
and you say that, Darren, and I actually had a vinyl record of a lot of their songs.
You guys, we've spoken over NB like 5 times now. What do you say, man?
It's easy to do. It's easy to do. Sorry.
No, what I was saying was the thing was that was only part of the commercial of that Life Alert commercial. That was just a part everybody remembered. Right. And then it got turned into a joke. I mean, by today's standards, it would have been a meme.
Yeah.
Probably is a meme now. But it was like, where's the beef at that time? It got overplayed in
Clara Barker.
Right. You know, and in okay.
So well, one of the ones that is like overplayed over here, and it's actually funny. JML. Do any of you have that over in America?
No.
So it's these like it's like cleaning products or something like that, but the ads are hilarious because it starts off with a black and white version, right? And it's like are you having trouble cutting tomatoes? And it's like the person who don't know how to use a knife, like having the worst time cutting a tomato. Like, does this ever happen to you? Picks up a basin, falls over, the entire basin falls over their head. It's absolutely hilarious. And
Did
then
anybody
it's like,
understand what he just said?
I remember like the Ginsu knives. They did shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the
and all that.
Ginsu knife.
It can cut through a tin can, but they can cut through a tin can, but they show them cutting an aluminum can, a beer can at that. You know. So,
yeah.
God, now I got Scrooged in my head.
Yeah.
No, the one that always irked me was the head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply. That was so.
That was brilliant because it was memorable, but they overplayed it.
What's funny for me was watching American TV is basically your medical ads. Any of your medical ads are fucking hilarious. It's like me and my friends. Like me and my friends, we were. Yeah, I saw that.
What happened?
Wait, Shannon Doherty died too?
Shannon Doherty's dead?
Yeah, she died today of cancer.
Dr. Ruth and Richard Simmons, they all died on the wrong day as far as their outgoing praise.
Okay, Dr. Ruth was old. Richard Simmons was.
Yeah.
He died in his sleep of natural causes.
Yeah, he suffered with skin cancer for many years. But Dr. Ruth was old back in the 80s when she was telling people how to fuck. And it was just like,
Dr. Ruth was born in 1924.
Hey, there was an episode of Quantum Leap where Scott Bakula leaped into Dr. Ruth.
Oh God!
Really? No, God, I remember my mom being given a book by Dr. Ruth called something. I'm probably going to butcher the title, but it was something along like the proper care and feeding of husbands. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. My mom isn't currently married, so I started flipping through it, and one of the chapters is how to give a proper blowjob.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, why is my mom reading this? Green bleach.
Green bleach.
I saw a great thing with this TikTok I saw, and I can't remember this name of this channel that I find funny, but this lady literally goes, "Men are simple creatures. Give them respect. Keep their balls empty. Their bellies full."
Keep their balls empty. That's awful.
I always say the same thing. Okay, why is the fastest way?
What I thought was so funny about it was the ladies looked like what? The other ladies on the left were like what? And the guys were like, "Boo! She just told you everything. She told you the secret of men."
Yeah.
But I always say the same thing about guys, right? And the secret. All right, what is the fastest way to a man's heart? Through
the third and fourth rib.
Just rib crates with a chainsaw.
Nice.
I pissed off my mother and because she was there and she was talking, right? And they were talking to, like, the chicken or the egg, and she was talking, chicken or the egg. What came first? And I said the rooster.
Yeah.
Well, I think really the egg came first because other animals have eggs, not just chickens.
Yeah, eggs.
Well, if you believe the Book of Genesis, then the chicken came first because it was created on the sun.
Well,
day.
But in
I'm
talking
a
about it,
science-based person, Darren. So
Christians already have their Christians already have their answer. That question does not plague them the way it does for other people.
The story was copied from the Babylons.
I'm a pagan, and I'm really not that bothered. I mean, I don't really care which came
I'm a
first.
Catholic, and I'm not bothered.
Does it
because
really
the rooster
fucking
came
matter?
first. No.
No, it really doesn't. It's just silly and fun.
Speaking of the chicken and the egg thing, just on this. So my wife, ever since we got this property here, we've got a lot of land, and she's talked about wanting chickens. And my daughter, we're kind of co-parenting my daughter and her girlfriend between our house and their house. So it's kind of a back and forth thing, because since we homeschool and everything, it's all good. And it's good for them. But their mom and dad got chickens, and now my daughter's fallen in love with them, and now I've got 2 against 1. So I think I'm gonna end up getting fucked and getting chickens.
If you like your lawn, don't let your chickens like free roam your whole lawn, because man,
Oh,
those
they would be. No.
If you have goats and chickens, you won't have a lawn anytime soon.
yeah, or pigs. Pigs are even worse.
No. We actually have, even though I've got a big acre, almost acre and a half, there is a pen area where we have the dogs. We would just put them there. And we already have a pre-done chicken coop.
Dogs would love that. Chickens. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, by the way, I gotta get my dog. By the way, tomorrow's Monday. I gotta call the vet. My Bernese Mountain Dog, he's got a bad infection under his neck.
No, poor baby.
No, I mean, I don't know what the hell it was, but my wife noticed it, and then you know how bad an infection is when it starts to smell.
Yeah. Well, that's infection itself. You can smell infection.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna unfortunately gotta wait. So we had to hold it. My son and I had to hold him down when my wife trimmed the area. So we do have an antiseptic to spray on him, but because he's a Bernese Mountain Dog, and if you don't know, they have very thick coats.
Yep.
So
yeah. So I'm trying to home.
No, we had to.
I'm going to go out on a limb and assume a salicylic acid spray.
Yes. Yeah, basically. Anyway, but what we did was we realized, we didn't know how much of that was getting on the wound because of the thick coat that was in between it, and the infection was smelling on his coat. So we had to hold him down, and my wife, because she couldn't use the clippers because he just kept. They have to actually put him to sleep. I mean.
Just put him under anesthetic.
Yeah, put him under anesthetic when they got to do stuff like that.
How old is he?
Because he gets very nervous with the clipping thing. So my wife went ahead while we were holding him down, and she used a pair of scissors, and we were able to get close enough we could finally see the wound. It's like, okay, yeah, we got to make the skull, but you can't do it till tomorrow. But now we at least have a clear shot to get to the wound without the fur in the way.
How old is the dog?
Oh, he's only a couple of years old. He's young.
Good. So he'll do well, because I know when older dogs, you can't put them under anesthetic sometimes because it's too likely to likely to kill them as not.
No, actually,
I've got a weird issue. I'm trying to. I've got a Bichon, and I have to home groom her. Because they want €100 to groom her, and she's after getting shit onto the fur on her face, which means I have not literal shit, but
stuff.
Yeah. And it's not washing out, so I'm going to have to shave it off. And guess what? She hates me touching her face with a razor. So I have to figure out a way to get her. I'm going to have to invest in a muzzle or something like that and suspend her ass and just go absolute ham on her face. She is not going to be my friend afterwards.
She'll be all right.
All right. No one take that quote out of context and repost it somewhere.
Yeah, no, like I got a good chunk off of her nose, but it's on the sides over her mouth on both sides. That's like when you touch her, she keeps like rubbing her face off the ground, and you're like, "Man, get here!" And she just keeps like running away. And there yesterday, I thought I was doing a good job, and then she turned around and started biting onto the face razor, and I'm like, "You are annoying."
Now you know what groomers.
My grandfather had a mule at one point, and every time they needed to reshoe it, the damn thing would try to bite the person sent out to reshoe it. I mean, that my grandfather hired to reshoe him, and it was just one of those mean little, creatures that did not care. It didn't care if you were trying to help it out. He was trying to bite you, kick you, do whatever it could to prevent you from doing your job.
Yep, that's Molly.
Oh God, this is what I get for. Oh shit! I'm sorry. No, I went fishing, and because I saw somebody's video on Twitter, and I commented on who they were and their ethnicity, and let's just say they didn't take it too nicely. Basically, I said, "Oh, this blank thinks it was staged." What a shock!
Yeah,
fill in the blank.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I didn't want to have people going off on, saying that it was staged, because we don't have enough information at this point.
And it seems extremely unlikely that they would stage it with some 20-year-old kid who was as likely to not miss as miss.
No, I think most likely it's gonna, and obviously I'm speculating here, but it's a 20-year-old, and I don't know if he had any training or not, but still, I mean, you got to understand, hitting a target at a certain range, and actually I've listened to scout snipers talk. People think that they want to be as far away. No, actually they want to be as close as possible to the target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, NB, there's a new video that just got released of the wide angle shot. It shows Secret Service sniper on the roof. Looks like they're pointing and getting ready to fire at the alleged shooter, but shots are fired, jump goes down, then the sniper fires.
Yeah, I noticed that. What was it, like?
Incompetent
shots, maybe, before they
I don't know what was going through that Secret Service mind when that was going on. I'm looking at the video. I'm like, that's why I was paused. I wasn't paying attention to you guys. I was watching that video over and over again. I'm like, what the hell is going through this guy's mind?
Quite frankly, look, like I said, politics aside, heads need to roll for this shit.
There's lack of fucking security. This guy got shot at. Come on, protection. I don't like the guy, but let's just fuck it up. This is fucked up.
Weirdly as well, yesterday, in Germany, 7 people were shot and killed, and the shooter killed himself.
And 11 people were shot last night at a bar in a nightclub in Atlanta.
And 100 people were shot in Chicago on the 4th of July.
86 deaths in Chicago on the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
At least they prevented that potential shooting in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
I haven't heard because of the dominance of the news cycle.
Hey,
that was last week.
I didn't hear about Yellowstone.
I watched the Beau of the Fifth Column YouTube channel, and he does a thing when he once a week looks at a few like underreported stories, And that one he reported on just on account of because things went right. Like they believed the person who escaped from the guy, and then they kept looking for him. Like they looked for him all night and found him just as he was about to enter a restaurant full of people with some sort of firearm.
Okay,
So
so
if you look at the Go of the Fifth Column channel and you just look for the one something about Yellowstone, I think he's got 2 updates on that one.
and I think this is why legacy media is not realizing it. And I did a TikTok video on this not too long ago about celebrities. The age of the superstar, the Hollywood superstar, is gone. The influence is over. They're all too old. All we have are just plain actors and actresses. Nobody has name recognition right
The
now.
pandemic killed us.
Well, I think they're more concerned also.
Hold on. I think one of my daughters would argue against that with Taylor Swift.
Taylor
No.
Swift is the
I
coach.
said, well, Mike, I said Hollywood. I said Hollywood.
Well,
And I'd
think
also argue
stations
that
are more
Taylor Swift is
concerned
a
about like big stories that like draw. They're looking for ratings, right? They're looking for views and ratings as opposed to actually reporting news.
Yeah.
Well, it became, Rahm Emanuel said it, never let a crisis go to waste. And you've all heard the term, if it bleeds, it breeds.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, what's going to draw the most eyes? And nowadays, because we are so saturated with the internet and everything that is in there, you got to pick and choose where you're going to get your material from. Me, I research constantly. I'll listen to legacy media. I'll go to independent media, but that's what I do.
So my country has the problem of we have state media, or as everyone is now starting to call it, the government's propaganda mouthpiece.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Well, we have state media here. They just don't call it that.
No, but ours is literally state media. We got RTE, then we got...
Other than PBS, what state media do we have?
No, that's exactly what I was talking about.
ABC, American Broadcast?
No. I was talking about PBS specifically because it's government funded. I was going off that. Kind of like our news media with NPR. They are both funded by the government on taxpayer money, so they are state-sponsored media. That's what I was going off of.
Right. And then there's unofficial state-sponsored media.
And what's funny is NB. I literally had someone recently tell me about NPR saying they don't listen to NPR because it's the most boring news possible because they talk about crap that they don't care about. That's not exciting. And I'm like, that's probably one of the reasons they're one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be entertainment. It should be information.
Yeah.
Delicious dish.
Come on.
Okay. Whatever happened to the days of Walter Cronkite?
Journalists,
yes, I admit, yes. We've gone from the days of the reporting the news to sensationalizing it. I mean, they've all got to be animated. They've all got to be excited. They've all got to have their opinions. I'm like, okay, am I watching reporting or am I watching? Because if you watch local news, you don't see that. It's just, hey, here's what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
Here's what we know.
Yeah.
But when you have Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, I don't think any of them have any journalists at all. Everybody's an activist.
Yeah,
that's why I got out. That's why I got out of journalism. I discovered in the '90s that once you leave the very local level, then it all becomes narratives.
I think I heard Tucker Carlson say something like that.
And a lot of the local stuff is owned by the national stuff and is guided or is directed towards a lot of the,
Sinclair media.
Same like talking points.
Sinclair media. Yeah, I saw that little video of Dandelion.
Yeah, but the point of the fourth pillar is it's supposed to be a free, independent press, not a propagandist for any party or any ideology.
Yeah,
Well,
but
they
we
ha-
know.
they ha-
We,
they
hold
can-
on,
they can
Andy.
pay it,
Hold on. Hold on. And Darren, let me interrupt. So sorry.
No problem. Go ahead.
The problem is, as much as the idea behind the fourth pillar is supposed to be important, it hasn't necessarily done its job since the founding of the country. Because even remember the article about the Boston Massacre.
Yeah.
When you actually read the article, it is a complete hyperbole and biased piece towards the colonies, and it was used as propaganda from even before the country started.
Okay, we're not talking about the 1700s. We are talking now.
No, I'm
about
saying the
Okay,
issues you're talking
let me
about have
finish.
existed for 250 years in this country.
Right.
I
Yeah, it was
know,
called
but
yellow
what I'm
journalism
saying
back then.
is, let's look at it this way. Let's look at the combined media to say what they were doing. They was like openly admitting Biden was sharp as a tack, and then the whole world sees it, and now they're all like, oh, well, we're making excuses. No, now they're having to do their job because they don't have a choice. And it's like, no, you should have been doing this. And now I'm seeing people being like, well, why are they putting him under a microscope? Well, you put the last president under a microscope for 8 fucking years. You're supposed to be the fourth pillar. You're supposed to be unbiased.
I'm sorry, I have to say this now. And now you can technically say he's also been under a sniper scope.
Yeah, NB has been biased. They've been focusing on one presidential candidate, age, but they're not talking about the other presidential candidate debate, but the lies he told. They're only concentrating on age, not lies.
No, Elihu, don't make me defend because they talk about age on both of them because they're both old, doting dotards who barely can speak a coherent sentence.
Actually, finding Biden, it seems more like his stutter is something he's having a harder time.
It's called dementia.
Yeah, he's dealt with that his whole entire life. He had a
No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has a stutter.
Okay, guys, I'm going to say this. Why does everybody worry about this? Yes, we're stuck between currently right now, the RNC convention where Trump will be nominated is in a week, and then the DNC will be in August. And unless something drastically changes, we know who the two candidates are. How about we talk about the fact, Americans, that our entire Senate, 80 of them, not all of them, but 80 of them out of 100 are between the ages of 56 and 90.
This is why we need term limits.
Do you know who was the oldest? Dianne Feinstein, until she passed away while in office. Do you know who the oldest is now? Chuck Grassley.
This is why we need term limits.
Agreed.
Oh, actually, I think we need age limits. Yes.
What's this wee shit? You're in Ireland, aren't you?
Yeah, and we need it over here as well. We've got.
Okay.
I think term limits makes more sense.
No. I agree with it. No, I'm sorry. I have a thing about this. If you are, and my wife and I have had this discussion, I've said everything, and it's like, I'm sorry, but once you hit the age of 70, you don't need to be in Congress. You don't need to be in Congress. I'm talking about Congress, only Congress. I'm not talking about the SCOTUS. I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about Congress, especially when you've had people in there 30 fucking years. I'm sorry, but I don't think a guy should be passing a bill when he's been around since the Depression.
You're making laws.
Exactly, and that's the most important thing.
Sorry, if you don't know that we tend to drift from one subject to another. Sorry.
Nah, we do that.
We run on.
I try to point that out to people because this is the problem we have in this country a lot of times is we focus on who's going to be in the executive branch and not think about the people who make the laws in the legislative branch.
So I'm going to say something controversial, and this is what I believe for all governmental elections, right? You know, if somebody loses an election, be it, and I'm not just saying like, oh, go and pull a Trump or Biden. I'm talking about everyone. I think that they should move on to completely new candidate, because if that person lost, he lost for a reason, right? So go and look for someone new, get some new blood in there. That's how I view things.
Well, they still have the right to run, and if people feel that way, then they won't win their primary.
Yeah.
When I was teaching my kids the Civil War, I looked and did a compare and contrast session of the U.S. Constitution versus the Confederate Constitution. And there were actually a couple things in the Confederate Constitution that would have been beneficial to the U.S. One key one is similar to the Mexican Constitution is they were only going to elect a president to 1 6-year term. No reelection. One time you're done. And I was like, man, that would solve a lot of fucking problems.
So
You didn't like that, Mike.
Oh no, I got a notification that was annoying.
Oh. But no, think about it. If we only had a president for a 4-year, 6-year term, whatever, there was no reelection, no chance of that, it's a one and done deal, then that's all they'd have to focus on. Their one term.
Right. You'd also have basically every president would be a lame duck then immediately upon taking office. So I mean, sometimes the specter of re-election modifies their behavior in positive ways as well.
So I would take your guys' terms over my guys' terms, because my president is the elf in chief. At the moment, he looks like a leprechaun and sounds like some from the Lucky Charms box.
Well, I mean, don't all of you sound that way?
Oh, Ireland.
He'll be running. He'll be at the end of his term.
Jeff, what about installing cognitive limits instead of age? For example, Fetterman, and that opens a whole can of worms because
Fetterman seems to have gone better.
Just because he couldn't communicate doesn't mean he had cognitive challenges.
Yeah, look at Stephen Hawking.
I mean, also, you bring up the idea of what is a cognitive issue that would be concerning when for someone being in politics. Would it be someone who
of different countries?
Well, what I mean is, like, say someone believes something, because of their religion. Is that a cognitive issue? Or if they believe something because of...
Some people believe that, yeah.
No, that's, what do they call that? That's something that's actually illegal.
A lot of intellectuals believe that religion is a form of insanity or mental illness. So, yeah.
Well, it can certainly be a form of cognitive dissonance, but I don't say that's a cognitive issue when it comes to being a politician.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to say this flat out. When Fetterman had a stroke, I was very upset at the people who voted for him because I was concerned about him needing to recover. He seems to have recovered quite, as someone who's known people who've had strokes. I was very concerned about him being able to handle the job as a senator and do 6 years. I must say, I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad he's recovered. Yeah, he's going to have a slur and stuff. That's okay. I mean, he seems to have generally recovered, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, his performance has been not what a lot of people expected, I think, as well. But I mean, all he has to do is vote. All he needs is his finger. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to deliver a speech or anything if he doesn't want to. So,
well, yeah, that was the same thing with Dianne Feinstein. She was just being pushed around in a wheelchair.
Right.
Well, those are two very different situations.
Yeah, but what I would mean is, like, Darren, I'm sure you've heard of it. I don't know if you actually believe in it, but the rapture type stuff, right?
I'm familiar with the concept of the rapture. Yes.
Okay. Now, if you have a politician who says that we should get rid of all environmental protections and endangered species protections because the world is going to end in 10 years anyway, we might as well just destroy everything.
Why do
Now,
you do things so broad? Why do
Um,
you do everything
well,
so
because
yeah, no.
well, in my books, in my book section, I literally had an old lady bring that up to me.
Okay. Well, is she running for anything?
No, she wasn't running for anything, but she was like,
Then
she
don't,
wanted.
Then don't worry about it. Then don't worry about it.
I know, but remember, this is still someone who can vote.
Hypothetical.
And
Okay.
she was like, she didn't give a crap about the environment. She didn't give a crap about any of that kind of stuff. She was very upset about one of the books I was placing because it was about saving the environment, even though I have no control over that.
That's a personal choice. She's not running for anything.
But
Yeah.
but her whole, I'm trying not to be rude to her because the whole,
Right.
I'm there as a representative of the company I'm working for.
Right.
And I just wanted to tell her, shut the fuck up. You're an idiot.
Right.
But
But then
I mean,
again,
could you imagine? I mean,
her-
would you? As much as I don't like that type of stuff, when Jeff was talking about a cognitive thing, if a politician was to have those beliefs, I don't think we can bar them from running from office. Even though I would consider that a cognitive issue, even though, I would be against
So
barring that type of stuff.
it would only be a cognitive issue if you believe that they were misinterpreting the scripture that they say calls for that kind of a reaction.
Yo,
I
here's a crazy thing. Here's a crazy thing. Everybody talks about how people like me are in a cult. Now, I have a question. This is going to be controversial, but I could say the same thing about Black women because they vote very much heavily Democrat, and I don't
It couldn't
even
possibly be that they think that the Democrat platform aligns most closely with what they believe.
I don't know. I've actually, the only thing I've ever heard is abortion and welfare. That's all I've ever heard from them. So I'm sorry, that's all I got.
Have you looked a lot at what they have to say?
Yes. I'm talking about liberal Black women. You see, I differentiate because I've known and respected a lot of Black women in power and had a lot of Black leaders who were amazing people. But when I see this, these are the two main things. That's all I hear about. They vote for those two reasons. And
ND, hang on.
I don't know it.
ND, they also talk like other white, Hispanic, and other Asian and other Indian American women about domestic violence problems, about financial issues, about pay degradement. They also talk about everything else, like Ryan said. Maybe
Oh God, Elijah, that reminds me of a friggin' TikTok I was watching literally this morning. It was a female doctor. She was about to respond to a video that someone posted about the. He said, "I'm going to destroy the wage gap theory right now when it comes to men and women. The issue is that women tend to choose lower paying jobs because men choose jobs like doctor, lawyer, and women choose jobs like female doctor, female lawyer."
What?
No, that's bullshit. What normally happens is if you actually.
I don't think he got the joke.
It was a joke, Andy. It was a joke. It was a joke.
I know,
Yeah,
but
Joe,
when you look at the statistics, women tend to go into more of the role of a caregiver. Now,
I take more time off.
CPS, teacher, daycare, nurse, doctor, yes, all those things, but they go into more caregiving roles a lot of times. Men go into the more construction roles and things like. Yes, there are exceptions to the rules with women going into construction and doing oil rig and all that and becoming roughnecks. I'm not discounting that. I'm just talking on the majority. That's how it goes. But is there a wage gap? That depends, because also you have to take into account, did the woman have a child or not? My wife had
You know,
children.
hold on, NB. It's funny you should say that because there was an economist I was reading about. This was back, oh God, at this point, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That was talking about that issue, and he was basically saying that if you include the time off women are that the average woman has for having a child, that justifies the page gap or the page gap, the wage gap.
Okay,
Well,
so
because
yeah,
because if you're an employer, hold on, if you're an employer, do you want to pay someone who has the potential of having to take time off for a child the same amount as someone who won't have to take time off when they have a child?
Oh, interesting. Because in Canada, men can take off like up to 9 months.
Yeah, and that's what I would say the same thing, Daniel. I think men should be able to have take time off when their kid's born so they can actually bond with the fucking kid. Pardon my language.
Here's the thing, Mike. When I was in the military, we do get paternity leave, but we only get 10 days. And the simple thing is, men are wired differently. And it's like, we don't want 9 months off. We want to go back to work so we can feel like we're providing for our child. We're hardwired to do that.
Well, even then, if I had the option, and if Mrs. Vile and I have a kid, I would love to have paid time off so I can actually spend time taking care of my kid while she's recovering.
Oh, absolutely! I get that. Trust me, I get that.
And if I can, even if right now, you know how much paternity time my company offers right now?
No.
If you want to take a wild guess,
Zero. That's not a thing in America.
No, not for my company offers 0 paternity time, and they said that the most they will give you is 1 week unpaid time off.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he would have to take PTO.
My cousin got
the States is all about keeping people working.
When my cousin got his
saying is, I understand the idea of spending time with the child. I'm just saying I don't know about the 9-month thing. I just don't think men are hardwired to spend that much time at home.
I'm going to make you jealous.
Maybe divide it. Actually, 3 months is standard for women, and then the additional 9 months can be taken all by the woman, all by the man, or they can split it. I don't know that they can both do it at the same time.
So in my country,
you have a split maternity paternity.
Yeah.
To make
3 months is just like women can take 3 months just as soon when the child is born, but then they can take up to another 9 months, or the father can take the 9 months, or they can split it. It kind of worked out well for my sister because she works from home anyway, so she could continue to be at home and do work, and her husband got to take the 9 months off. So
yeah, so in my country, women get nearly a year and a couple of months paid. It's 6 months full payment. Then it goes down to half of what you were earning for the rest of the time. Then with the men, you get between 8 and 17 weeks off full payment paternity leave.
Damn, men get.
Yeah, it's not a full pay here.
I tend to agree with the Bill Burr side of this. That they want to complain about this so-called pay equity between men and women in the same position. There's only one answer. If both of them are being paid $17 an hour, but at the end of the year the male has more money than the female, you got to look at how many hours they actually worked.
So the way I say it is, get a man and a woman who work exactly the same job, started at exactly the same time, so they both are on the same increase, blah blah blah. Like they're on the same track as each other.
No,
right?
it comes down to also. Okay, this is the thing. You got to think about the merit and experience thing. Now, when you say a woman, like my mother-in-law, God rest her soul, she quit work to raise her children. Once they got to a certain age, she went back to work. That was very traditional. That's not so. She was out of the workforce for a long time. You can't just go back into the same job and expect the same pay when you've been out of it for a while.
I think the point they're making, though, is equal pay for equal work. What
Yeah,
you're
so
talking
that's what-
about
Right.
is unequal pay for unequal work,
So
right?
what I
Woman's
was
not
saying-
working as
Right.
much, she gets paid less.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah.
two people,
Yeah.
same job, same hours,
Yeah.
same work, woman's getting paid
Yeah.
less.
Compare-
There's
Right, and
so
men-
no
and
on
men-
that.
Yeah.
That
And
is
men have to
that's
sit
what they're
there.
talking about, not talking
And men,
about.
and men have to
not
sit there
working
and
as
pretend they don't know what the answer is. It's because every time your kid is sick, you feel the need to take off from work, whereas
Yeah, but this is my
Either-
point. It's
Hey,
talking about
Darren,
equal.
I'm sorry.
work.
Anytime my kid is sick, I will take time off from work.
right,
Then you're an outlier.
right.
Where is the
So
vile
then-
child?
But the thing is that in every workplace I've been where I have had to work with women, every time they're always having to leave work because of something kid related or something, like my kid is sick, and it's like, I remember my parents never coming home from work when I was sent home sick, ever.
No,
And
same
again,
here.
and I don't have kids, so I'm sitting here. I'm saying, okay, if we are both getting paid $17 an hour, which is what we were getting paid at the time, and at the end of the year, she's made less money than me. The only answer is she didn't work as many hours, and that's the thing they
That's
never
the whole
take into
point.
consideration.
He's not-
That's the thing they never take into consideration when they
But
talk about
they
this
Do
pay
take that
inequity.
into consideration.
Okay,
That's the point.
No, when you hear a feminist, on a talk show raging about the disparity, they never go into that aspect of it ever,
Well,
because
hold on,
they
Darren.
know. Because if that
Darren,
happens,
Hold on,
let me
Darren. I
finish
need to
my
interrupt
thought.
you for a second.
No, you don't. You don't need to interrupt me. I'm not done with my thought yet. Okay, because if they go there, their discussion is over, and they know it, and that's why they don't talk about that.
Darren, what is the societal expectation between men and women is that the woman is supposed to be the one taking care of the children instead of the father. That's part of
Yes.
the reason.
Okay, let me tell you something. And
I'm not
gonna
a
tell you
father.
right now. I'm
Okay.
going to tell you
I'm
right
telling
now.
you as a
I'm
father.
gonna head out. I think
Okay.
I need to
I'm
go
going
to
to finish
walk.
my fucking
Yeah,
thought.
I've
for
also-
once.
I have also.
I am going to finish my thought for once.
All right, well, hold on, one at a time.
Right.
And
Right.
later,
Right.
I'm
Dandelion.
going to finish my thought for one time without being interrupted. Let me explain something to you about what we're talking about when it comes to this disparity. My daughter, my oldest daughter, who I love, is a single mother with a kid. Guess what? Her job doesn't give a shit about that, and that's why she got fired. She couldn't get her daycare together. She had to bring the kid into work. She had to take off
Right.
work to take care of him. That's not their priority.
Right. But I'll tell you something. There, even women who don't have kids will find reasons to not come to work that men don't
No,
use.
that. I'm sorry, Darren. That is just kind of
That's-
sexist.
I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I have seen it happen.
No, it's true.
For example, they will claim a medical. They'll say, "I'm sick. I don't feel like coming to work today." Okay, we don't ask questions. We don't tell you what's wrong with you, things like that. We just say, okay. And at the end of the year, they have worked fewer hours than the men have.
Every single woman I
Yeah,
know.
because
I'm not,
Because
yeah.
Darren, again, the societal expectation is a man is supposed to continue working even when he's injured. And I'll give you an
Yes.
example of that. Recently, I had a cyst
Mhm.
rupture while I was working, and I
Right.
continued working despite not taking care of it, and it ended up getting
Yeah.
septic, and I had to go to the hospital for the first time in 10 years.
Yes. However, when a woman is making decision
Oh, it's
to
her
not
choice.
come into work today, that is not her employer's fault. That is her decision. And that's why she's getting paid less at the end of the year than people who make the same amount of money per hour who did put in the hours.
But again, it's because society has said that it's wrong for a man to not work if he's feeling sick or if he's injured.
That is not society.
No,
That is
it's her
nature.
decision to not come into work. She's making the
That
decision
is
that today,
nature.
rather than go to work with a sniffle, or with a headache or with a stomach ache, they're deciding that they're not going to come into work
because they would rather focus on their health than getting work done.
Yes.
No, it's not a health. It's not a health issue.
Every-
You can be perfectly healthy and have a headache or a stomach ache or
Well, by definition, if you have a headache or a stomach ache, you're not in perfect health.
No, you can be in perfect health and still have a headache.
Mike, you are reaching here, and you are
No, I'm not.
fallacy department.
No.
I'm not.
You can go to the doctor and say I have a headache, and they'll say, "Well, there's nothing wrong with you. Take aspirin." And rather than take aspirin and go back to work, they won't do that. They'll stay home. I come to work with a sniffle all the time because I have allergies.
Yeah, same here. But that's because
what they will say, well, I've just got too irritated a nose. I'm not gonna come into work. I don't feel like it. Now some of it might be the feminine thing.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised that it's the man's job to always make the money regardless. And I'm willing to sacrifice my health and sometimes my sanity in order to continue working when I shouldn't be working. And I'm like, I really need to take a mental health day. Just a day where I do absolutely nothing.
That's another thing, a mental health day. Our mental health day is supposed to be our day.
Bullshit.
And again,
I don't understand, Mike. What you're
the fact
talking
that
like you're. Yes, we're men. This is what's expected of us. This is our.
But
nature.
that's irrelevant too, because women are still making the decision not to come to work.
Yeah, but it is our nature to be the way we are. But we can argue societal norms on why we're doing that. So I can argue the opposite way. It's our job to go do it. It's their job to be able to make excuses because that's what you're implying.
Well, no, because what happens when guys do that type of stuff? When we do that when we do the thing where we're going to work despite we're in pain, we're going to do this despite the fact that we're under stress. What happens is a lot of guys reach that breaking point.
No, yeah, I know all about the breaking point.
Or their threshold is just too low. I mean, I've had situations where I've come to work in a snowstorm. Nobody else wanted to brave the snow, and I came to work, and I was thanked for coming to work. But there were a lot of people that made that decision. Now, is it a wrong decision? No, but they did make that decision, and therefore, at the end of that pay period, they're going to have less money in their coffers than I do, and then they complain about that.
Yeah, I did. I break a few times, but you know what? At least I can say I got my ass to work.
At what cost? Like right now, do you think that? Hold on. Do you think that? And this is going to be really fucked up for me to say. Do you think you'd be in the position you are right now if you were able to take more care of your health during the time you were working so much?
Maybe, but it doesn't matter. I made the choice and I don't regret it.
Okay, but now you're in the situation you are now.
Okay, I'm in the situation I am just like you are.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to
that's the whole reason I have the job I have right now is because I'm able to take time off when my kid is sick or when my kid has a play or when my kid just needs time off for whatever they need to do, and I'm able to be there for them. That's the only benefit for the job I have. I'm willing to take a job that, pays dick, where I have insane hours sometimes where I'm working, 16 hours in a row. And then, that way I can actually spend time with my kids when I need to.
So you have your priorities in order. I don't see the problem.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give
you're upset. You're upset because you have to make the choice and other people don't have to make the choice. I think that's what the problem is. Women in this argument also have that problem. Well, I have to make a choice when my child is sick or when I have cramps or where I have a headache, whether I come in or not. I have more choices to make about whether I'm coming into work or not than a typical single guy with no attachments. And that's what they're really bitching about. That's what they're actually talking about. And no one wants to take the step that actually gets to that point. Everybody wants to sit there like they don't know what the problem is. I don't know why men aren't making as much money as women are at the end of the year. Nobody points out that they're making the same amount of money per hour. and that they, you know, and then also, you know, female expenses, right? Women's jeans are generally more expensive than guys' jeans, but you know, you can buy cheap women's jeans. You don't have to get the stuff with the studs on
Oh
the ass.
shit, guys!
Yeah.
Elijah says there's a government press conference going on in Penn. I wonder if this has to do with Elihu. What's going
Well, he
on?
muted. So.
Yeah, I know, but he can still hear.
No, he said he muted us.
Oh, dumbass. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, Darren's right. I mean, he can articulate it a lot better than my cast can because he can keep his emotions in check.
Well, sometimes. We all struggle with that.
I know.
But thank you. But thank you.
But yeah, I mean, you got to look at those things. You got to take, you can't say it's a black and white issue. And I think that's unfortunately why Dandelion left, although she's living in Canada and I don't know how they do things and how their wages go. It's just the simple fact that you have to factor in all these things and people don't want to factor them in. They want to say, well, no, it's one thing. It's this. Is that? No. It's a whole shit ton of things. It's what job fields you go into. It's all of it.
Yeah. And then one of the interesting things is that I find that women actually can deal with being sick a lot better than some men can.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I remember talking to a gal. She says, "Yeah, I've got the flu," and I'm like, "You don't look like you have the flu." And she goes, "Well, I kind of like pushed it into my foot, and then after work, I'll let it, come back." And because she was able to do the job, I couldn't tell she was suffering. Now she could have been lying to me, of course, too. But I mean, I'll take her at her word. But I've seen women that, can deal with pain a lot better than some other men can too. It's very strange. But,
VIleMike, to answer your question, because of my health right now, is it because I pushed myself so hard? Yeah, probably, but I don't regret it because it needed to be done. And I accept the consequences of my actions.
Well, as I said, it was the way I was wording it was kind of a dick thing, and I wanted to make sure that it was clear that it was not intentional. I was intentionally being a dick, but I'm not trying to be. It's hard to articulate what I was trying to. I didn't want to offend you by saying something while being a dick.
You're being a dick. Just leave it at that.
Yes, and I was intentionally being a dick, but it was not out of malice. It was out of making a point.
All right, Elihu, what's going on? What's the update?
Basically, he said ongoing investigation, no new information. Said the same thing everybody else has been saying. Shooting tragedy, not needed. Pennsylvania stays strong. America strong. That sort of stuff. Flags are flown at half mast for the fallen victim who was in the bystander. All flags are flown at half mast for his honor and respect. I agree. Thank you. I agree for that, Governor. Thank you. Flying for a civilian. Thank you. But he's just basically no new information. But I'm thankful that he's flying. That he's ordered flights for half mast for a civilian. I'm thankful for that.
Actually, I didn't even think about this. You just reminded me. One of my neighbors, and when I went to get beer this morning, has their flag upside down.
Jeez.
Yeah, I have some good news, some good trivial news if you're into superhero movies.
Yeah, for the last half hour, let's go ahead and talk about something other than politics and religion.
James Gunn is filming scenes for his Superman movie at the Cincinnati Union Terminal in July here. Now, the significance of that is the Cincinnati Union Terminal was the direct architectural inspiration for the Hall of Justice on the Super Friends cartoon, the 70s and 80s.
Oh, I did not know that.
So it's been
Superman.
Corn Sweat, I think is his last name. But anyway, if you guys want to see what I'm talking about here, I will share that image.
You share the comic book image or the actual?
No, the actual Cincinnati terminal. I'll show you
Oh,
that
okay.
picture.
I think he's going to show the comic book or the
No, that's easy.
The leaked set footage.
Is it the same place they used for the Arrowverse thing?
I have no idea. I've never watched Arrowverse, but
No, when they did their Justice League thing, the building they used was a real building, and it was it looked very similar to the original Hall of Justice.
Yeah, it was nicely done.
Oh, this is it. So now they'll probably use CG to.
No, that was not the one they used in the Arrowverse. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah. They'll probably use CG to put Hall of Justice on it or something like that, and then put the weird sculpture in the front of the building. You know, but that was the inspiration for that design that Hanna-Barbera used, and so it's interesting that Gunn would go ahead and do that. It doesn't look exactly like the Hall of Justice, but it's it's
Close
clear
enough.
that. Let's see if I can find. No, never mind. Sorry about these Noctua images here. Okay, I'm in the wrong folder.
Jesus Christ, how many fans do you need in that thing?
All right, hold on. I'll be right back. I have to Gelogia myself.
There, that's what they turned it into. But yeah, so yeah, there we go. All right.
Darren, are you building a computer? Because that was a lot of fans.
The Noctua NH D15 Generation 2 just came out. And that's what those pictures were. That is considered the highest quality CPU air cooler you can buy. It competes with water-cooled CPU.
Well, you beat me to the question. Then you're telling me that thing beats water cool?
It beats some of them, not all of them. I mean, simple physics. Physics means that water is going to flowing water over the top of your CPU is going to remove heat quicker than these other things do. But the secret is though that those air coolers do have fluid in them. It's just there's no pump pushing that fluid over the CPU. The temperature, the heat of the CPU itself evaporates the fluid. It goes into the heat fins, and then the fans cool it down, and then it flows back over. So it's a more because it's an entirely enclosed system, there's fewer points of failure. You know, I've got a Noctua air cooler in my PC here, and that's the main reason why I did it. As long as your air cooler is preventing your CPU from thermal throttling, it's doing its job. So,
well, yeah, you know, I mean,
yeah.
Do you have your? Does your computer have a set time for shutdown if it overheats?
So the way mine is set up, that if it goes over 70 degrees C, that's when that's when the fans will kick to 100%.
Okay.
And it has never hit that threshold at all.
So
I'll show you the one that I have that I use is this one.
Darren, you might appreciate this. Years ago, a friend of mine we were having a Pi Day party, and for part of the party, what we did is we were building a computer for him, and we decided to use oil for the cooling system. So essentially, we just drenched. We basically built the computer inside of a fish tank.
Yeah.
Filled it up with oil, and we put like little fake plastic plants and fake plastic fish, so it looked like a bunch of fish swimming around in water, but it was oil with a bunch of computer parts in there, and it was actually a very fun day. But
I'm sharing an image of the one I used.
You don't need to do stuff like that.
So I had an interesting experience, because when I was in Tampa, Florida, I was working for DEI.
Sharing an image.
Or DIA. Sorry, not DEI, DIA.
Yeah.
And when I was working for DIA, I got a call on a Friday night, and I'm like 3-4 beers in, but I live on the base. And my boss calls me. He's like, we got to get over here. We got to shut down the servers. I'm like, okay, sir, I've been drinking. Do you still want me to come in? He's like, yeah, I need you to come in now. I'm like, honey, I need you to drive me to work. So I go in about 2 sheets to the wind.
Yeah.
And I walk into our server room, and so what happened was our fire alarm had a false positive. And what happens when when that goes off, the AC automatically shuts off. Well, the AC didn't kick back on. And I get into that server room and holy shit balls. You want to talk about a heat wave.
Sauna.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
NB, have you heard of that Walmart, or there's a pilot program right now for Walmart, some Walmarts to use digital tags instead of the paper tags?
Yeah, price gouging.
It's not, no, Eli, who has nothing to do with price gouging. Trust me, I know the system because I have access to the system. In fact, was what I was doing there is auditing to make sure that the prices were the prices they were supposed to be. But one of the stores I went to, they had blown a fuse because when they upgraded their servers in the server room for that particular Walmart, they didn't upgrade all the wiring. So the entire back room had had no lights whatsoever. But because of that, the air conditioning for the back room had also shut off.
Ouch.
And the computer server the server room is in the back room. So I'm walking around a dark room using my phone as a flashlight, trying to find a manager so I can talk to him about an issue with one of the tags. And I'm just walking past the open door for the server room, and I was blasted with what felt like 100-degree air coming out of that room.
It probably was.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, you walk into a server room when it's a wall of heat. Oh my God!
I went from not sweating to being drenched in sweat in less than a second. It was a very uncomfortable situation.
Well, let's put it this way. I sobered up real quick because you know what? One time I burned all my alcohol off because it was so cold. I burned it all off because of the heat.
I'm sorry, NB. Every time somebody says one time, you have to finish that sentence with at band camp.
But I mean, the worst part was it was realized that the reason we had to come in was because idiots hadn't set shut-off settings for the temperature gauges. So we were having to go in there, manually shut them off. People were coming in and doing the remote shutting off. And I'm like, why are we got people doing the remote shut off? We might as well just do the cold shut off and call it a fucking day.
Yeah. All right. So what you're looking at there.
Sorry. I brought it down because I didn't think we were talking about it anymore.
Well, I was trying to wait for NB to finish. So this is the one that I use. It used to be their second best CPU cooler. Now it's their third best because the DH15 Generation 2 came out. But it's only one tower instead of two towers. And it's also in Chromax Black, which normally when you see a Noctua fan, it's usually in that beautiful beige and brown. But they weren't selling as many, so they figured out how to color the styrene for their because they create their own plastics for these things for thermodynamics and for flow dynamics and also harmonics for sound. So that's why it takes them a little bit longer to come out with the black ones. Usually they come out with that about a year or two afterwards. But anyway, one of the reasons why I gravitated towards this, why I find them so fascinating, is because those are basically submarine propellers, just with more blades. And
I see what you're saying.
The fluid dynamics of these, what those are high static pressure fans, which are different than airflow fans. Airflow fans simply move air when you more air when you have no obstructions, but a static pressure optimized fan is better at forcing air through tight and small places. So it doesn't move as much air, but it moves it harder than an airflow fan would, and you got to get it through those fins because that's what's cooling the fluid in the heat pipes. That's therefore cooling your CPU. And so I find it fascinating. The engineering there, Noctua is an Austrian company. Their stuff is usually manufactured in either Taiwan or China, but it's all designed in Austria. And they even came out with a desk fan, and that was more recent. Here, let me see if I can find. Bear with me here. Yep, here it is. All right, gonna switch to that here. This is their desk fan, and what they do is they take one of their fans and they put it in this housing. You see how it's actually blocked, and then you've got those 4 pathways for air to flow out of. That's by design because they use the static pressure fans, and so that's what they do. That's like $100. I think that's like $100. I know that LDG was talking about buying one because he was interested in it.
Hey, go back to the next that last picture. How many heat sinks was that?
I believe that's the new one, the D15 Generation 2, and it has, I want to say 12 thermal pipes.
Oh man, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So I mean, the advantage there with one of these kind of air coolers is, let's say you have a water cooler and it's doing its job, but what if a hose breaks and then you got fluid leaking out into your system? With one of these, because the fluid is all contained within the metal, that's not gonna happen. The worst that would happen is you might have an electrical problem with the fan quitting. Well, if that happens, and you've got a glass port on your case, you can say, okay, why are my temps so low? You look in there, oh, one of the fans isn't turning, and then you replace the fan, which you can do, and then keep it right on going. But yeah, I like these, and it took the competitors. It took the competitors for Noctua, like Deep Cool and I can't remember the other ones. It took them 10 years to finally match the D15, and then they come out with this, the D15 Gen 2 this year, which they were able to beat the Generation 1 D15 by about half a degree. So then they got to say, oh, we're the kings now, and then all of a sudden Gen 2 comes out and it's like 4 degrees better than the previous one. So now they're gonna have to go back to the drawing board to see if they can beat this one. But yeah, so done with my spiel.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Right, not sponsored. No, yeah.
We're just geeks and nerds.
Just a fan.
So,
Speaking of which,
I have, what? So, like, I've not actually seen really much of it. I've just been following it. And so you make a Star Wars show with 8 episodes. You make the 3rd episode and the 7th episode of flashbacks. So your main character isn't in there. You have a Virgins in the Force, but no, it's not really a Virgins in the Force. You have a Jedi Master who's somehow alive, and somehow people can survive lightsaber thrust, but when they turn in the mist, they're fair game. And apparently, this planet is the Virgins. I'm like, wait a minute, you mean a Force Nexus? I'm like, I was listening to Headland explain this. I'm like, wait a minute, you're talking about a Force Nexus. So you're telling me these people have a low midichlorian count and it's been amplified because they're on this planet, and somehow the fucking Jedi who have a higher midichlorian count can't feel this? Darth Plagueis can't feel it? Darth Tenebris can't feel it? Give me a fucking break.
Hey, the Jedi Council couldn't tell Palpatine was right in front of them. Come on.
Don't go there. Don't go there. He was a man. That was the point of the Sith from Darth Bane, was to conceal themselves.
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon couldn't sense Darth Maul behind that door. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, see you guys later.
And also, I'm not going to make any real big statements about it because I haven't seen it. I've been watching other stuff lately.
I gave up on episode 3.
We lost Aaron.
Yeah, he said he's out.
Oh,
Who? Yeah. I don't know what happened.
but
there.
yeah, when it comes to let's see, because I was working so much this week, I basically didn't watch. I was listening to. Like last week, it was Doctor Who. This week, it was Transformers. I listened to the entirety of Beast Wars and Beast Machines while working. I didn't watch it, but I listened to it.
Oh, I thought he was listening to Earth.
Well, there's one thing about that. When you've seen a show enough times, you don't have to watch it. You can hear it and you know already in your head. It's like us
You know,
with-
and going back to Beast Machines a little bit, I don't know if you guys ever watched that. When I'm just listening to it and I can hear the dialogue and I can focus just on the dialogue, they made a lot of references to both the comics and the TV show. And I kind of appreciated it more. Beast Machines, I always was kind of, not as big a fan of. But I'm like, now that I'm listening to it, it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Well, it's like, oh shit, man, I got, ooh. It's like, you can put I can put Star Trek on and just put it in the background. I don't even have to see what's going on and know what's going on.
Oh,
Well, speaking of Star Trek, are you going to take my advice and have your grandson watch Prodigy with you?
Well, actually, I am having him here for 2 weeks. So, is it on Disney Plus?
No, it's on Netflix.
who was the main showrunner behind Star Trek besides Metellus? Because that guy and Russell T Davies is going to be on stage at the same time in San Diego Comic-Con. That was just announced. They're going to have a.
I don't know, but I was telling NB that Prodigy made me appreciate Star Trek Picard season 1 a lot more because of the stuff that went on, and I'm like, I like how they're doing it. Granted, still the last episode of Star Trek Picard sucked, at least season 1.
Yeah,
but the whole intro, like the first 3-4 episodes of Star Trek Picard, play into what happens for Star Trek Prodigy at the end. Granted, it's like the last episode, but still, I'm like, now things kind of make sense.
My problem with, honestly, the first 2 seasons of Picard. 1, the first season felt like elder abuse. 2, it felt like an agenda. And it was like, okay, how bad can we bash Trump? I mean, that was the impression I was getting. Right or wrong, this is what I was getting. And then you get to season 2, and it's like, there's an ICE raid in California at a clinic. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, to be fair, NB, that happens quite often around here. When I worked for Jack in the Box, we had an ICE raid at our Jack in the Box.
yeah, it does happen.
And not only that, it happened at 11 o'clock at night when we had 3 people working.
Okay. But seriously, it would just seem like the first 2 seasons were very agenda driven, and they didn't feel Star Trek. And then, yeah, I was rather pissed.
Well, the parts that I'm referring to are they talk in Star Trek Prodigy. They use the excuse of what's happening to the Romulans as the reason why tensions are high, why they can't send backup, that kind of stuff. They also talk about at the end, because of the fleet being destroyed at Utopia Planitia, which is why a bunch of cadets are being given this very powerful starship as kind of like a singular prototype pilot program that Janeway's running by herself, and that's why they're going to be able to still do these missions despite the fact that Starfleet isn't doing as much exploration.
Oh, so I heard some news on Star Trek, and don't know if this is really going to happen, but they've been talking about Star Trek Academy and that it's going to be set in the 30, whatever Discovery was set in.
Yeah,
And
the 29th century.
yeah, but I mean, I heard, and hopefully I get I think it's right now. Holly Hunt is going to be the captain of Starfleet Academy.
Talia, yes, she got promoted. She was she got offered as a instructor position at Starfleet Academy. She took it. She became a mentor. So yeah, it makes sense. She become basically the dean of Starfleet Academy.
Well, I think if you're going to, and look, I don't know where Star Trek's going from here. We all know our feelings on it. But it's like, if you're going to continue it, you need to continue it in the 29th century. You don't
They
need
are.
to go
That's what they're doing. They're not backtracking. They're continuing up the story.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what intrigued me about it. Like, it was like, oh, so we're going to stay. See, that was the thing. Discovery, in my opinion, should have been in the first 2 episodes. They ended up in the 29th century and never got back. It should have been more like a thing.
I think the Klingon War thing should have been not done. I don't think the control thing was the Section 31 and control stuff was just stupid.
But I did
mean,
like the Daniels. I did like the Daniel surprise.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah,
done
yeah,
a lot.
That was good.
You could have done it where
That was well done.
they were okay. Here's the thing: you could have used it as this experimental ship. We're doing the spore drive stuff, and boom, they end up in the things are going good. And then they end up in the 29.
NB, let me give you something that might help you out. Hold on, I got dogs barking. Never mind.
All I'm saying is, when it came to being a prequel or an integral, I don't really know what we would call this right now, and then jumping there, I'm just thinking if they had jumped there earlier in the first season, maybe even been part of the season finale, okay, that would have been something to build on. But they waited too long. I think they just waited too long.
Yeah, but this is not going to be a new Star Trek story. It's a continuation of the Star Trek world.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Star Trek is now in year 3000. They are now in year 3000. So that's Star Trek time. So that's
NB, if it might get you to watch Prodigy, not only do they bring back Chakotay and the Doctor, they bring back Wesley Crusher and Beverly for a few scenes. And they even make a Gary 7 reference from the TOS episode.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They made a Gary
and
7.
the best part is they don't explain it too much. Like they give you enough hints for someone who knows the stuff to figure it out on their own, but they don't like explain it because it's a kid's show.
It's like watching Lower Decks and have them get a reference, a big reference out of nowhere. Like, oh, I remember that episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, well,
because it's a kids show, they're not like going to be like, oh yeah, this is actually the office building of a secret agent from the 1970s who helped out Picard. You know, they don't go to that extent. They just say, oh, this is a hit room. We think it looks like the aesthetics are from the 70s.
So
that's about it.
But I would say with Star Trek, if they're going to continue it, they need to go ahead and continue it forward with what they're saying they're going to do with Academy. And Holly Hunt, I mean, she's a good actor. Although I don't know why she would be the captain well, wait a minute. And I don't know why she's the captain, the head of Academy. Maybe she's not, because I remember I think it was the first or second season that one guy wanted to promote Picard to Admiral and put him in charge of Starfleet Academy. So she might not be
Well,
even.
I think you don't have to be a certain rank to teach at the academy. I just think that you can still get promoted while being a teacher.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is she a teacher? Or is she the head of the academy? And that's what I was trying to. Because they made it sound like she was head of the academy. I'm like, wouldn't she be an admiral then?
No, you don't have to be ranked, be a teacher or anything like that, because she was lieutenant, and she's a teacher, instructor.
Yeah, if she's a teacher and an instructor, yeah, she'd probably be a captain or something like that. But if she's the head
Well,
of,
remember, Miles O'Brien was taught at the academy at the end of Deep Space Nine, and he was still a non-com.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I understand that, but I'm talking about the person who's in charge. Now, granted, when you have things like the NCO Academy, the Airman Academy, and things like that, yes, they are generally run by an enlisted person. I'm just curious, I'm not, I mean, it's just, it could be a moot point, and it could possibly be a good show. It'll just be.
I'm going to quote Agent Daniels when he first met Burnham. This is a new Starfleet. Unquote.
All right, and I do have to work a little bit today, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Based on everything that happens, I think we need the Klingon drinking song. How about you guys?
I agree.
Yeah.
More singing, more voices.
Help the Klingons, hoorah! Hejim tave deja I, ejam sotas gos vaskrar baitik, e pajaj la mojaj puj, jaj keles molo nichok chu. Ooh.
What?
All right, you're 19 years old now. I figure it's about time you got one after all your complaining. Okay, in retrospect, playing the one where I get shot was probably in bad taste.
Too soon?
Yeah. Too soon.
All right, I will see you. I will see everyone later. So later, folks. I gotta go.
Later, weirdos.
Peace and prosperity.